Aloha, I'm Monica Marrow, and welcome back to Awareness in Action, Discovering Your True Self. Have you ever noticed that voice in your head? The one that tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough? That voice, the inner critic, can feel so loud and real, but here's the secret. It's not you. It's just a thought, a story your mind has created. And thoughts only have power when we believe them. In today's episode, we'll explore how to quiet the inner critic and replace self-doubt with kindness and compassion. Together, we'll practice an exercise to help you observe those critical thoughts and choose a more supportive inner voice. The inner critic is a learned habit, a voice that feeds off fear and comparison. But when we live as awareness, we create space between ourselves and those thoughts. We start to see them for what they are, temporary noise, not truth. Let's practice. Close your eyes for a moment and listen to your thoughts, as if you were listening to a passing conversation. Can you hear how they come and go? Now ask yourself, who is noticing these thoughts? That's awareness, you, watching without judgment. When you stay in awareness, you don't need to fight the inner critic. You simply stop giving it your attention. And when you stop feeding it, it fades. For women and girls, the inner critic often mirrors the world around us, its pressures, comparisons, and impossible standards, but you are not defined by any of it. The more you live in awareness, the less power those voices hold. You begin to hear a new voice, the one that says, I am enough, just as I am. Let's do another exercise on observing the inner critic. Get a paper and pen or use your journal. Take a moment to reflect on a recent time when you were hard on yourself. Maybe it was a mistake you made or something you wished you'd done differently. Now write down one self-critical thought that came up during that moment. It might be something like, I'm not good at this, or I'll never get it right. Don't overthink it, just jot down what comes to mind. Now close your eyes for a moment. Imagine that thought as a character sitting across from you. What does it look like? Does it have a specific voice? Is it kind or is it harsh? Take a moment to observe it without judgment, as if you're watching it from a distance. By imagining your inner critic this way, you're creating space between yourself and the thought. You're observing it rather than being consumed by it. Now let's take it a step further. Ask yourself, who is noticing this thought? The answer is simple. It's you. That observer, the one watching the thought, is who you truly are. And the thought, it's just that, a thought. You are not your inner critic. You are the awareness that notices it. This realization alone can begin to dissolve its power. Now, let's replace that self-critical thought with something kinder. Take a deep breath and think of a more compassionate way to talk to yourself. For example, instead of, I'll never succeed, you might say, I'm doing my best and that's enough. Or instead of, I'm not good at this, try. I'm learning and growth takes time. Write down your new, compassionate thoughts next to the self-critical one. Feel how it shifts the energy inside you. Take a moment to reflect. How did it feel to observe the thought rather than get caught up in it? And how did it feel to replace it with something kind and supportive? When we create this space through awareness, we give ourselves the freedom to choose a different narrative. And the more we practice this, the quieter that inner critic becomes, and the stronger our inner voice of compassion grows. This is something you can come back to anytime. Whenever you hear that critical voice, pause, observe, and remember. The thought is not you. With awareness, you have the power to choose kindness always. Thank you for showing up for yourself today. Each time you pause to observe and replace self-criticism with kindness, you're strengthening your connection to your true self and creating space for growth and peace. Remember, you are not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them. Be kind to yourself and know that you are enough just as you are. See you next time when we'll explore the space between emotions, responding, not reacting.